Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in the previous videos, we have already done the setup of our Azure account. We have already set our Fabric workspace. We have already seen the working of how MCP server works, what are the core components of MCP server. So if you haven't watched my previous video, please go through that video. Now today we are going to do something really exciting. We are going to build a custom Microsoft Fabric MCP server, which is powered by Fabric REST APIs. And that MCP server, we are going to run it locally and we are going to deploy it using Azure Container Apps, from where we will get a secured public URL. And then we are going to use our GitHub Copilot or Claude Desktop, and we will configure that particular server and we will use those server, and then we will see how this works. So stay tuned and make sure that you watch this video till the end. So first of all, this is the Azure account that we have already set up, and this is the Fabric workspace that we have set up in our previous video. So you can see my 59 days is left. So this is the trial account as I have already described it in the previous video. Moving forward, let me show you a repository for Microsoft Fabric. So I have already have the code base for this Microsoft Fabric MCP server. So let me first show you the repository. So see, this is the Fabric MCP server repository. So I have already created the virtual environment. So here you can see tools, helper class. This is the Docker file because it is required when we are deploying this particular MCP server to Azure Container Apps. Then we have this Fabric MCP.py file. This is the main entry file. This is pyproject.toml file to build this package. Then we have requirements.txt file. Then we have some test files, and then we have this deploy mcp server.sh and upload to acr.sh. These two particular files has the command with which we can directly deploy our custom mcp server to the Azure Container Apps, and we can easily get the public URL from there. So here, first, let me show you the authentication. So as you all know that when we use Azure MCP server, we need to first sign into our Azure account. So first of all, let me show you the Azure account. So here you can see I have already signed in via service principal. So here you can see I have signed it via service principal. So there are two options. You can sign it via user identity or you can sign it via service principal. So first let me show you the authentication. So here you can see that it fetches, there is a function get Azure credentials in this authentication.py which uses Azure.identity library. So here it catches the credentials, and this is how it goes: the Azure tenant ID, client ID, and Azure client secret ID. As you all know that in the previous video we have set this up. So this is the authentication.py file. Now similarly, if I go to helpers and if I show you the context.py file, so here you can see we are using fast MCP. So stateless HTTP is true. So we are using fast MCP, and this is our MCP object. So create, this is our MCP instance with context manager. So this is one of the main file. Now let me show you the tools. So here you can see we have lakehouse.py, loaddata.py, notebook.py, semantic model, SQL endpoint, warehouse.py. We have several files available. If we look at this lakehouse.py file, so here you can see we have a decorator at the rate mcp.tool, which makes it a tool. So here you can see we have set lakehouse and the context file that I have shown you earlier. So client ID lakehouse. So here you can see we have several tools defined for the lakehouse. Similarly for notebook.py as well, we have list notebooks available. We have create notebook available. Similarly for semantic model.py, list semantic models available, get semantic models available. So we have several tools available, and all these are built using the Fabric REST APIs. So that's why I have told earlier that it is powered by Fabric REST APIs. If I show you this workspace.py, so here you can see set workspace, list workspaces. So all these are here. Then let's go to this pyproject.toml file, which is used to build the package. So here you can see we have included helpers, helpers.clients, formatters, and utils file. And projects.scripts MCP CLI app. So here you can see MS Fabric MCP. Python versions requires 3.12, and these are the dependencies that are required. And this is the requirement.txt file. So these are the set of libraries that we are going to use. So here you can see we have Azure Identity, Delta Lake, Request Cache tools, and this two files are just for the testing purpose. And this is our main file, that is fabric mcp.py. So here you can see we have one clear context, and this is our main method invoke function, where you can see uvcon.run mcp.streamable http app. So we have already talked about the two modes, stdio mode and http mode, when I already discussed about these two modes in the previous mcp server explanation video. So this is our main file which import the mcp context cache from the helpers utils.context that I have shown you earlier. So this is the particular main file. Now we require docker file as well to build our docker image. So here you can see from python, this is copy work directory app uvsync, and this is the command, and it is running on port 8081. So this is the overall library. I will provide the link to this github repository in my description, so you can go and look through this particular repository. Then we have this git ignore and docker ignore file. So here you can see we put all the PyCache and all the extra files that are being generated. All right, so this is all about the project structure. So here you can see what we are going to do. We are going to build a Docker image. Then we are going to put that Docker image into Azure Container Registry. Now it's up to you. You can use Docker Registry as well, or you can use Azure Container Registry as well. I have used Azure Container Registry. Then we are going to create Azure Container app where that image will be pushed, and then we will get a public secured URL. So first of all, let me show you upload to acr.sh. This is the deploy mcp server.sh file. So here you can see that all the space, all the commands are already written. We can use the Azure MCP server as well. That is also the option, but I have created the command. So what you have to do is you only need to run this two particular files and everything will be taken care of. So here you can see first we need to do Azure login, step 2, then your Azure Container Registry name, for enable Docker buildx. Then we will build the image. Once the image is built, we will push it to Azure Container Registry. Then we will verify the Azure Container repository, whether the image is being uploaded successfully or not. And then we have deploy mcp server.sh file, where we are going to create the container app. Then once the container, so here is the command to create the container app. And once the container app is created, we will be deploying the MCP server. So as your container app show, this is the command. And once we have this, we will get the public hosted URL. Now let me show you the list MCP server. So I have this MS Fabric MCP server already running in my code. So we are going to do with fresh start. So let me show you the configuration for it, this one. So see, we have already done the setup of our Azure MCP server, and since it is using Azure client, Azure credentials, so here you can see tenant ID, client secret. We have done this setup already in our previous Azure MCP server video. Now we have this MS Fabric MCP server that is new, which has around 30 tools. And here you can see this is the URL that I get when I deployed my this application when I build the image for my Fabric MCP server and I deploy it to Azure Container Apps. So here you can see this is running successfully. And now the things that are required for this. So first you need to have Docker Desktop installed in your system. Then then you can use GitHub Copilot, or you can use Claude Desktop, whatever fits you best. And here you can see that I have already logged into my GitHub Copilot account, because we need to log in as we have seen in the previous video as well. So I have already logged into my GitHub Copilot and I am ready to use this particular MCP server. So first let me stop this to particular server. This is the tool section. This is the built-in. Then we have this Azure MCP. Then we have this MS Fabric MCP. So here you can see the tools list: clear context, analyze notebook performance, create lakehouse, create notebook, create PySpark notebook, set table, set lakehouse. So we have several tools available, and all these tools are powered by Fabric REST APIs. Let me just unselect it all, and from here we are going to stop both the servers. All right. Now let's begin. So I hope you understood the project structure and how we are going to proceed further. First, you need to log into your Azure account. So you just need to follow this readme.md file. So let me show you the readme.md file as well. All right. So this is the Microsoft Fabric MCP server with Microsoft interacting with Microsoft Fabric APIs featuring advanced PySpark notebook development, testing and optimization capabilities with LLM integration, LLM large language models. So these are the core Fabric operation, workspace, delta table, SQL query execution, advanced PySpark. So these are the requirements: Python, Azure credentials, you need to log in. UV, you can install this UV via pip command, and then you need to have Azure CLI as well. We have seen it in the previous video. And optional Node.js for MCP inspector. All right, so first of all, you need to clone the repository. Then you need to go to the particular folder, whatever you have named it. Then you need to run this bash command uv sync. Then you need to install the requirement.txt file. So I have already done all this in my virtual environment. I have installed the requirement.txt as well. Now, as I have told you before, there are two modes: stdio mode, then we have running with MCP inspector as well. Then we need to do VS Code integration. What this VS Code integration means? At your launch.json. Launch.json means you simply need to just go to your MCP list server and global in code. So you have two options, either to set the configuration globally or either to set the configuration only in the workspace level, only at the workspace level. So if I show you the show the configuration, so here you can see this is the configuration for my Azure MCP. These are the configuration for my Microsoft Fabric MCP server. All right. So this we need to add, and these are the commands to run with MCP inspector. Then this is the login command to log into your Azure account. So you simply need to follow this readme.md file. Once you add to your launch.json file, then this is the stdio mode. Okay, then we have this http mode, uv run python port 8081. And for http mode, here you can see the type changes to http: headers, application json, text event string. And then this is the complete tool reference that we have. All right, so let's begin. All right, now here you can see in the subscription we have one subscription active, that is learning. And inside resource group you can see we have this RG remote MCP server that I have created earlier to test this repository and to create my custom MCP server. So what we are going to do is we are going to use Azure MCP server. We will create new resource group, and inside that resource group we are going to create all this. Log analytics workspace is required when you use Azure Container Apps. Then we have this container registry, and then we have this MCP servers, container apps. So these are the container apps, and inside this container apps we have one container app MCP remote server. So let me show you how the public URL will look like. So here you can see I have this MCP remote server is already running, and this is the revision this is the URL that is hosted and is available to use whether via GitHub Copilot or Claude Desktop or whatever host or client you want to use. You can create your custom client as well. All right, so what we are going to do is in this learning subscription, we are going to create a new resource group and we are going to use Azure MCP server. So just first we will start our Azure MCP server. So here you can see connection state is running and it has discovered 47 tools. All right, now let's open GitHub Copilot. So I have already logged in, as I have told you earlier that we need to log into our GitHub account to use the GitHub Copilot, or you are using Claude, so you just need to log in via Claude Desktop. All right, let me make it full screen. So here you can see we have the available tools available for from our Azure MCP server: run Azure SQL database, manage Azure storage account, Azure virtual desktop, Azure workbooks, Azure AI speech, Azure Signal, IR services, etc. etc. Here now you can see we have this list resource group where we have this particular subscription learning. There is one resource group, RG remote MCP server, which is located in South India. Now let's create a new resource group from our. Okay, so resource group RJ Fabric MCP Server Learning 001 has been successfully created in South India region. So let's just verify it in our subscription. And here you can see we have this RJ Fabric MCP Server Learning 001 created for us. And here you can see currently we have no resources. All right. Now in this particular resource group, we are going to create a Azure Container Registry, or we are going to use the same container registry that we have created in our uh, I have created previously, but we are going to create a new Azure Container Registry and then we are going to see how we are going to deploy it to the Azure Container Apps. All right, so let's just come to the GitHub Copilot. So here it has created Fabric MCP Server Learning 001 created successfully. Now what we need to do is we need to create one Azure Container App, Azure Container Registry, sorry. So let's just tell our agent to create a. Let's see if it is able to create Azure Container Registry or not. Let's call it allow. So here you can see it uses your terminal and it is running this particular command to create the container registry. In our resource group RG Fabric MCP Server Learning, Azure Container Registry has been successfully created. Now let's verify it in our Azure account. So let me just refresh it. Okay, so here you can see we have our container registry already created. Now, in place of this Azure Container Registry, you can use the Docker registry as well. So you need to you need to create your account for Docker registry where you can push your image. Now, what is the next step that we need to do? So here you can see in the repositories, we have nothing yet. So what we need to do is first we need to create our Docker image of our application, and then we need to push the image to the container registry. Right. So here you can see this is our login server and pricing plan is basic. So everything is created properly. All right, now in this container registry here you can see we have the registry name, login server, and what we need to do is we just need to create this admin user. So what we will have is we will have this username and we will have two password available to use. Now what we need to do, so just go to this repository, and here what you need to do is this is the upload to acr.sh. Then we have next step is to deploy the mcp server. Then just go to this upload to acr.sh. So this particular script I have created, so you don't need to do anything. You just need to provide your Azure Container Registry name, Azure login server name, and whatever the image name that you want to provide, then username and password. So username and password we already have that. So first of all, the first step is to Azure login, so we have already done it. And then we have this login to Azure Container Registry. Then this command will log into our Azure Container Registry. Then Docker will build this particular image and whatever image name that we have provided away above. So it will create this particular Linux AMD 64 image. Once the image is built, then it will push it to the Azure Container Registry. And once this particular, and then we will verify if this particular image is pushed to the Azure Container Registry or not. And once we have this message upload completed successfully, then we have the image available in our Azure Container Registry. Then we have the next step, that is deploy MCP server.sh. So for this we need to create, so I have created this script as well. So you only need to provide the above configuration, and you just need to enable executable chmod executable command to execute this particular sh file, and rest will be taken care of. All right, so here we have seen till now that we can use Azure MCP server to create a resource group. We can use Azure MCP server to create our resources as well. All right, now let me tell you one more thing. Once this image is pushed to the Azure Container Registry that you have created, now when you create this deploy to Azure MCP server, so here you can see we need to provide this additional details for my script to work. So here you need to provide a ECR username, ECR password. So you just need to provide all this. Now there is a log analytics workspace that is required, otherwise it is going to fail. So this will track all the logs, and then when this workspace is created, then it will create Azure container apps. Once the container apps environment is created, then we will have MCP server container app. So we are going to see all this in action. So what is the next step? We need to upload to acr.sh. All right, so we just need to provide a ACR name, ACR login server name. So we will get this from here. So what is our Azure registry name? This is our Azure registry name. So simply just copy it, paste it. Then we have this ACR login server. So ACR login server, this is here. 01 image take latest ACR username. So ACR username is remote fabric MCP. All right, so ACR username, and then we have this ACR password. Then we have this ACR password. So copy this password and paste it here. You can put it in the .env file as well. All right, so we have done all this. We have set the ACR name, ACR login server name, name, image tag, ACR username. So we have set everything. As you're logged in, we are already logged into our Azure account and log into Azure Container Registry. Then this will do its magic. Now for the Docker image, you need to have Docker Desktop open. Otherwise, it is going to fail. So open your Docker Desktop before. Let me just save this file. Now there is one more important thing. You need to make this file executable, so you need to run this command. Okay, so upload to acr.sh is ready to use. Now what we need to do is we need, so here you can see first step is the Azure login. So we just need to go to this. All right, so here you can see the image building is in process. We have this Docker Desktop available. So here you can see. So what happens here is, since we have already logged into our Azure account, what you can do is you can simply press Control C and you can move it to the second step, that is log into our Azure Container Registry. Now this build image for Linux AMD 64 is in progress. So once this image is completed, and if you are not logged into your Azure account, then simply this URL will open and you can simply just authorize and logged into your Azure account. All right, so let's wait for a few minutes till this image is completed. All right, so image building is successful. Image for ACR, image tagged to remote fabric MCP, and image published to ACR. Now verify ACR repository. So here you can see image remote fabric MCP server latest.azure cr.io fabric MCP server latest is upload completed successfully. Now just verified, just go to this remote fabric MCP server. So here you can see you just need to go to the repository. Here you can see this fabric MCP server and this is your image that is created successfully. All right, now let's just go back here. Go to the overview. All right, so we have successfully pushed the image to our repository, to our Azure Container Apps. Now, what is the next step? Now we need to create a Azure Container App, and then we will use this image and then use the Container App to get a secured public URL. All right, so for that also, what we need to do is we just need to go to this deploy MCP Fabric Server URL.py file. And here what we need to do is we just need to provide the resource group. Location is South India, login server name, password name, image tag, and what environment that we need to create, because it creates one particular environment as your container app environment, app name. So first we will cover this remote MCP server, and then we are going to see running the server locally with inspector, with MCP inspector. So MCP inspector is nothing but a developer tool, and we will see it see in a while. We will see it later. So these are the changes that we need to do. So let me quickly go to this upload to, and this is our ACR name. I'll simply copy. This is the remote server. We need to upload this as well. uh, Environment name, workspace name, app name, workspace name. This is the log analytics workspace name. Let me quickly update this thing. All right, so now we have done all the changes. We have provided the correct resource group name, location, ACR login server name, ACR username, ACR parameters name. We have the image name provided properly, image tag is provided properly. Now what we need to do is, similarly, we need to make this file executable. So we need to run this command chmod. We just need to change the file name. All right, so first let's make this file executable. Okay, once this file is executed properly, then we simply need to run this sh file and everything will be taken care of. So registered required as your providers. So what it means is we need to register the required as your providers for that to be working correctly. Let me show you here as well that how we can register the provider. So you just need to go to the subscription, inside subscription, inside settings. Here you can see resource provider. So we need to enable some resource provider for that to be working. So here you can see Microsoft authorization registered, Microsoft health service. So this is how we need to register few providers for that to be working. So container registry is required, so it is already registered, so we have to do this step as well. So that particular script will take care of it. You don't need to do anything. All right, so let's just see. So now it is creating the Azure Container Apps environment, and here you can see a log analytics workspace is already created. Let's verify it in the. So here we will go to the subscription. We will go to our resource group, that is RGMCP Fabric Server. So whatever this script is doing, we can call our agent, and that agent can also create this resources for us. So here you can see log workspaces, MCP servers, and we have container registry created. We have container apps environment created, right? It is environment, and we have one log analytics workspace created. So you can see how this script is creating the resources for us. Similarly, we can call our agent, and our agent can create the script as well. All right, so we just need to wait until this particular script complete all the steps, and once we have everything deployed, so we will get this particular URL that we will use. But before that, we just need to set up some environment variables as well for that to work properly. All right, so now we are on the step 4 where we are deploying the Azure MCP server. Now we have the step 5, fetch MCP server public URL. Now here you can see we have this MCP server URL available to use. Now simply just copy this URL, Command C, and let's just put it here. So let me show you that it is not going to work as of now, and we just need to provide the MCP because we have. So here you can see not acceptable, client must accept text event string. So in the fabric mcp.py file we have this particular streamable HTTP app available, and then there is SSE app, something like that is also available. So when we are doing the configuration, so what we need to update is the server, and if I go to the MS Fabric, which is in currently, so let me show you the configuration for it. So here you can see in the headers, we just need to provide this accept application.json, and this will work. So when you will run the server locally as well, so this is the error that you will get, but the host like Claude Desktop or GitHub Copilot, they can handle this particular error, and we will have our working MCP server available to use. All right, now what is the next step that we need to do? Since we have already, let me just refresh it and let's see what are the MCP remote fabric server, MCP log workspace. So this is the container app, and from here you get your MCP server remote URL. Now if you go here and you can see its status is running. All right, so we have choose the basic plan. Now what you need to do is, so here you can see in the deployment section, let me just refresh it. All right, so here you can see the registry name, the image name that we have, and the other workaround that I am telling you, that you can provide the Docker file location as well. So maybe you the relative location of the Docker file in the repository if the path is not specified. So you can do it as well. And Azure Access, user assign manage entity service principal, and then there is one more option that you can directly sign it with GitHub. Okay. Now here, let me show you the container. So here you can see we just need to set some environment variable, that is our tenant ID and client secret, client ID. So we just need to set this environment variable. Otherwise, our MCP host, that is GitHub Copilot or Claude Desktop, will not be able to connect to this MCP server. So let me show you quickly. So just go to this Visual Studio Code, and what you need to do is you just need to update this MCP server URL here, and just put the URL. All right, all right. So we have this created. Now let me just start this. All right, now you can see this particular server is running 30 tools available, and this is our URL. Now what we need to test is just open chat. Let's have new chat in the agent mode. Let me just remove this as well, remove this file as well, and remove this file as well, and just all tools available for Fabric MCP servers. So MS Fabric MCP is not selected currently. So 157 tools, what we can do is we can unselect Azure MCP server for now, because one time we can select max up to 128 tools in GitHub Copilot. Okay. So let me just stop it, and let me just now tell it to list all the works, list all the tools available for the Fabric MCP servers. So here you can see it is actually getting those tools from the code base, but we need to have these tools from this MCP Fabric server. So it analyzes the code base as well, and it provided all the tools. So within the code base as well, and it has done it. Now what we need to do is list all the workspaces for Fabric MCP. So see, it analyzes our code base and it is telling to run this particular command, but we don't want it. All right. So what we need to do is, let me just stop this, and what we need to do is we just unselect this built-in tool so that it won't analyze our code base. And let's me go to the new chat, and now we only have this, and let me see if it is running or not. Yes, it is running. Let me just restart it. So here you can see connection and it discovered 30 tools. Okay, now we just remove this file as well, so it won't be add in the context. Now list all the tools available for Fabric workspaces. So now you can see it has 10 list workspaces and error listing workspaces. All authentication method fields default as your kernel field to retrieve a token from the included credentials. And why this happening? So it successfully return all the tools available for the Fabric MCP server, but when I ask to list all the workspaces, so it won't be able to do it because it can't be authenticated properly. So see, Visual Studio credentials, shared credentials. So authentication is not configured. You need to authenticate to Azure first. The easiest option is to install and authenticate with Azure CLI. That's why we just need to provide the environment variables here, that is Azure tenant ID, client secret. And so we will quickly set it up and we will redeploy it. Only just we need to save as a new revision. So a new revision will be created and then we will use that particular URL. So let me quickly set the environment variables. All right, so we need to set this as your tenant ID, client secret, and our particular hosted server will work properly. All right, so now we have this environment variables successfully here. So we will save as a new revision. So deploying a new revision for your app and you will see a new revision here. Just go to the new revision and here you can see running view details, show logs, historical real-time application, connecting to a stream. Yes, revision MCP server. Okay, successfully deployed new revision. Now what we need to do is we just need to check if the yes, so 001 index blue dog 0. So what we need to do is we just need to copy this. Here you can see we have a difference, command V slash MCP and command C. Just take this URL, go to your Visual Studio Code. Let me just maximize it. And here where you need to put it, yes, command shift P. List servers and MS Fabric running. Go to its configuration. Just stop this. And after stopping, just all right. Now we have the updated revision available. Now just start this. Okay, we get some error. A container app is stopped or does not running. Let me restart it. All right, so now we have our server successfully running. So we have placed the wrong URL. So that's the reason why it is failing earlier. Now it is running successfully and it has discovered all the dirty tools. Now what we need to do next is we just need to open our chat. All right, so here you can see you can set environment variables for service principal authentication. So it already told you to provide the client ID, tenant ID, client secret. Now since we have logged in using service principal, so the workspaces that we provide the access to the service principal, it will get listed properly. First, let me just remove this mcp.json file and just see if it is able to list the workspaces now or not. All right, so now you can see we have this test workspace 01 available, which has capacity NA because we are using the trial capacity. And we have one other workspace as well, that is my workspace, but it is not listed here because service principal don't have access to that particular workspace. That service principal has the access to test workspace 01 and it is listed here successfully. And if I told it to list the lake houses, since we don't have any lake houses available, so it will result in zero lakehouse since we don't have any lakehouse created. And let me show you this in the Fabric workspace as well. So let me just go here, and this is the Fabric workspaces that we have created in our earlier videos. So see, we have this my workspace and this test workspace 01. And since we have logged in using service principal, so and I have assigned the service principal access to this particular workspaces, so that's why that particular workspace is there. So security is always there. So whatever access we are providing to the service principal, our MCC server will use that particular access and list out the available option to us. So here you can see, if I show you the manage access, so here you can see Fabric practice, and this is the MCP support app service principal that I have created and assigned access to this particular workspace. Now let me show you the my workspace is as well. And if I show you the workspace setting now, one more thing. Now, if you have logged in using user assigned managed identity, then it will list this my workspace and the other workspaces as well, because it simply mimics the permission that you have. So this is how the Fabric MCP server works, and there are lots of tools available. You can utilize this tool. So here you can see no lake house found in workspace test workspace 01, because there aren't any lake houses. So this is how you can create your custom MCP server. This is how you can deploy your MCP server, and you will get this particular HTTPS mode hosted URL, and you just need to set it in the configuration for both. If you are using Claude Desktop, for that as well you need to set the configuration, and for GitHub Copilot or other host that you are using, you just need to set up the configuration like this. So here you can see we are using the type HTTP mode, and we have deployed our first custom MCP server successfully using Azure Container Registry. Now let's run this server locally using MCP inspector, which is used to test and debug your MCP server. So what we can do is simply, all right, so let this particular MCP server running properly. Now just go to the readme.md file. Now what you can do here is, so see, running with MCP inspector. So just simply copy this command, go to the terminal and just hit this. So it has started the MCP inspector. Now here you can see we have this particular server. So we just need to connect. So here you can see we have connected to this Fabric MCP server. This is local and it is Lenoir. And if I show list tools, so here you can see we have all the available option of the tools. So with Amazon inspector we can debug, we can check if our server is correct or not. So like this, with the help of MCP inspectors, we can, and you can debug the tools as well if they are working properly or not. So here you can see run tool, copy input, copy output, so everything is there. So you can check it via using MCP inspector. If any environment variable that you need to set, you can do this as well. Transport type stdio streamable stp that we have used, and then there is sse server sent events. So these are the these are the three transport type that is available. All right, so the second thing that I am telling you, that we have used a streamable HTTP, and there is one more option of MCP SSE, like this. Okay, so this is how you can run it via Azure MCP inspector. Now here, if you go, so it is running on localhost 6277. All right. So this is how you can run your servers locally as well. And if you want to use it there, so what you need to do is you just need to copy this, or if you are using stdio mode, then you just need to copy this. You just need to go to the stdio mode, args full path to the project folder fabric mcp.py, because this is the main entry point that you need to provide. And in the command section you just need to go to the full path to project folder, then inside .venv scripts you will find this particular python.exe that you just need to provide here. All right, so that's it for this video, and I will come up with a later video in which we will discuss how to set our Azure DevOps environment and how we can use Azure DevOps MCP server. So this is how you can create your own custom MCP server and host it using Azure Container Apps, or you can host it via Kubernetes as well, and you can use Docker registry as well. So whatever suits you best, you can opt for the suitable option, and you can create your custom MCP server. I will provide this repository link in the description. You can, and this two particular scripts, you just need to do minimal changes and everything will be taken care of. So that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please hit like button and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching.